Hello everyone, my name is Hope and welcome to our Getting Started with Wushka series. Thanks for joining Wushka. We are really excited to have you on board as a Wushka school. These video tutorials have been created to support you through each step on your Wushka journey. They will be in sequential order. I'll be taking you through this Getting Started with Wushka, setting up for independent and guided reading using Manage Class List tutorial. Before we get started, make sure you have had your Wushka account set up appropriately. If your school or team cross-groups for reading amongst classes, please ensure that you have let the team at Wushka know before they upload your teacher and class details. I have included a more in-depth video about activating your account titled Getting Started with Wushka by Activating Your Account. If you're unsure, please email support@wushka.com.au and our friendly team will be happy to help. When using Wushka, we recommend you log on through Google Chrome. Remember, if you're in Australia, to use wushka.com.au, and if you're in New Zealand, to use wushka.co.nz. First, log on to your account with your username and password. If you are the coordinator, you will see two screens. For this tutorial, you need to enter through the teacher dashboard. Then select Manage Class List, and you will see this table. Column 1 has student's first name, Column 2 has their surname, Column 3 has each student's individual username. This cannot be changed. Students who have their own devices will be able to save their username and password. I also recommend mentioning to students and parents to save Wushka to their favorites to make logging on quick and easy. If they are required to type their username, they can use lowercase for the letters. If you are using shared devices at school and have younger students needing to log on, sign into your teacher dashboard, select Student Log On. This will display all of your students. They can then select their name and it will log out of your account and log into theirs. Column 4 will have a temporary student password. This can be changed for each student individually by clicking on the blue dotted line. You can then enter in whatever password you would like that student to use. For example, Wushka. Remember to always use the white tick and the red box as this acts as a save button. To reset for the whole class, click on the grey Manage Class box in the top right-hand corner. This is where you can change the setting for the whole class, and I will refer to this button throughout this tutorial. Then click on Set Class Password and enter in what you would like the password to be. For example, 123, Wushka, or your room number. Don't forget to click Set Password. This will then update the password for your whole class, as you can see. Wushka can be used in many ways, so depending on how you would like to use Wushka, I will demonstrate the different ways to set up. Please note that if you would only like to set up your school for independent reading, Option 2 and Option 3 will not apply to you, but please watch until the end as I will cover narration, comprehension quiz, generating student letters, adding a new student, and how to archive students. Option 1. You would like to use Wushka for independent take-home reading. The columns that you will need to set are reading level and level access. First, set your reading level. To do this, click on the blue dotted line, then select the down arrow. You will be presented with each of the levels. Students will have access to this 24/7, so it will need to be easy reading. For example, Sammy is reading at blue for her guided instructional reading, so I will set this one below, at yellow. Remember to click the white tick in the red box. Make sure to do this for each of your students. Now set level access. To do this, click on the blue dotted line, select the down arrow, and you will be presented with a range of options. Reading Group Only will remove the independent take-home book box and only show the students' guided instructional reading book box. Reading Level will only show books set to that one particular level. For example, Sammy's independent take-home level is yellow 6 to 8. She will only see this box of books when she logs on. Reading level and one above would give the student access to their independent and guided reading level. Reading level and one below is what I would recommend for students learning to read. For example, Sammy would have access to independent take-home books at level yellow 6 to 8 and red 3 to 5. Reading level and levels below would be their independent reading level and everything below that. Levels below reading level only would be everything below their set independent take-home level. For example, Sammy is at yellow 6 to 8, so she would only see red 3 to 5 and magenta 1 to 2. All levels would only apply for older students who are reading to learn. For example, they may need access to research for a particular inquiry or project topic. By having all 650 plus books available, they can log on and use Wushka as a resource library. Inspiration for independent take-home reading. If you would like your independent take-home reading program to be more structured, you would create a reading group for independent take-home reading. For example, you might want to focus on a particular comprehension strategy, or your class may be learning about space for their inquiry topic for the week. First, you would create a group by clicking on the grey Manage Class button. Then click Create Reading Group. Enter the name of your reading group. I suggest, if your students are learning to read, that you use the same reading groups that you have in class, such as Dolphins. In this case, I would call the group Dolphins Independent Reading. If you are wanting to create an independent reading book box for older students based on their project or inquiry topic, you could name the group specific to this. For example, keeping within the space theme, I would call the group Project Space. As you can see, when the student logs on, they will be displayed with a range of books to get started with their research project. Option 2. You would like to use Wushka for guided instructional reading. The columns you will need to set are Reading Group and Reading Group Permission. First, click on the grey Manage Class button. Then click Create Reading Group. Then you'll type in the name of your reading group. Again, I suggest you use the same group names that you use in class. You will repeat these steps for each group. In this scenario, I will create the reading group Dolphins. Don't forget to click the red Create Group button. Then under the reading group column, click on the blue dotted line. Click the down bar arrow and all of your groups will appear, both independent take-home and guided instructional. I'm going to scroll down and select Dolphins. Don't forget to click the white tick in the red box. You will need to repeat these steps for each student. Now we are going to look at reading group permissions. Let's say student A, who is in the guided instructional reading group Dolphins, is going to have a remote guided reading session with me. I would then turn his or her reading group permissions to on 5 minutes before the session. To do this, I would click on the blue dotted line, select the down arrow, and choose on, making sure that I click the white tick in the red box. When the session is over, I would enter Manage Class List, find Student A, go to the column Reading Group Permissions, click on the blue dotted line, and turn this back to off. This would ensure that the text remains unseen. Students will still have access to independent reading books when they open up their Wushka account, even if you are just using it for guided instructional reading. So still make sure to set the reading level and level access columns to ensure they don't have access to all 650 plus books. Option 3. You would like to use Wushka for both independent take-home and guided instructional reading. To do both reading programs, you would need to make sure you have all 4 of those columns completed: reading level and level access for independent take-home reading, and reading group permissions for guided instructional reading. What if I am using a structured independent take-home program? If you have decided you would like to create a more structured independent take-home program, such as my example earlier for inquiry project reading groups, you would then leave reading group permission to on and change between your reading groups accordingly. For this example, I am going to use Student B. Their independent take-home level is Sapphire level 29 to 30. Therefore, their guided instructional level is Bronze 31 plus. The reading group they are in is Sharks. This group is going to have a reading group session with me using the discussion cards found in their higher level support materials. When the session is over, I will open Manage Class List, find their reading group column, click on the blue dotted line, select the down arrow, and then put them into their independent reading group. This may be Sharks Independent, or it could be Project Space. Always remember that students cannot be in two places at one time. This is why you will have to manage their reading group by changing them accordingly. If you would like the group to only have access to their independent reading box, for example, Dolphins Independent, then you will need to set their level access to reading group only. This will disallow access to other boxes and only group text assigned. Now we are going to look at the narration column. Each book can have the narration turned on or off. Narration will start slow at the lower levels, highlighting each word, and as students move up the levels, it will speed up, highlighting a sentence and then a paragraph. To turn this on or off for the whole class, click on the grey Manage Class button. Then click Set Class Narration. To keep it on, click Yes. To turn it off, click No. Narration is fantastic for oral language, but if your data shows that a student is listening to narration 100% of the time, then you may like to turn this off individually. To do this, find the student, then in the column Allow Narration, click on the blue dotted line. Click on the down arrow and select No, making sure to click the white tick in the red box. The last column is quizzes. I am going to give you a brief explanation of how the comprehension quizzes were developed and what they are based on. As the school readers become more advanced, so do the questions. Lower level quizzes use questions that determine recall and a basic understanding of the main ideas and concepts found with the text. Quizzes then progress into prompting students to apply and analyze knowledge. In the highest levels, students are provided with questions that encourage synthesis and evaluation of hypothetical scenarios to the text. All the quiz questions are structured around Bloom's hierarchical model of questioning. To turn this on or off for the whole class, you will click on the grey Manage Class button. You will then click Set Class Quizzes. There will be a range of options. If you will be conducting remote guided reading sessions, or using Wushka in class, then set this to compulsory or optional. The questions are not voice recorded. If you know the student has a parent, caregiver, or older sibling to support them, then you would set the quiz to compulsory or optional. If the student is younger and they do not have the support at home, you can set this to off individually for them. Go across to the quiz column, click on the blue dotted line, select the down arrow and click No. You can always turn this function back on, especially if you are able to do a guided instructional session with them. It will help collate comprehension data for you in statistics. As you can see, there are two more options, school only and home only. If you would like your students to complete the quiz between the hours of school, which are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m, make sure to select school only. Home means the quiz will pop up outside of those school hours. Always remember, for whatever you choose, to click the white tick in the red box. If you have a student start partway through the year, you can easily add them by filling in their details under New Student. Once saved, they will appear on the table ready for you to set up their individual program. If you do accidentally add a student twice or they leave your class, click the grey Manage Class icon, select Archive Student, and then select the student you would like to archive. Once this table is complete, you can generate your student letters. To do this, click on the grey Manage Class button, then select Generate student letters. If you would like to send these out digitally, you will download this PDF. Before sending out every student's login details to the whole class, I recommend using the Snipping Tool app if you are using Windows. To do this, click on the Windows symbol on your computer desktop. Start typing Snip Tool to access the snipping tool. The snipping tool icon will then appear at the bottom of your work toolbar to use. If you're using a Mac, press Shift-Command-4 and then drag the X over the area that you would like to snip. Make sure to click on this and then press Command-S to save. Please note that when using a snipping tool, to make sure you include the website for students and parents to access Wushka, as their login will not work. For example, a student based in Australia cannot sign in via the New Zealand website. When you email or share these logon details, you might like to include our pre-written letter explaining Wushka. This can be found by opening Helpful Resources on your teacher dashboard, then scrolling down to the bottom and selecting Student Login Details. Time to practice. I recommend creating a fictitious student and practicing using different settings under Manage Class List. This will make you feel confident in creating a program that suits your students. You can also then use this false student to demonstrate to your students or parents how to log on and use Wushka without tampering with your students' accounts. In my next video titled Get Started, Setting Up Reading Groups Using Managed Reading Groups, I will explain how to allocate and remove books for groups, how to use the filter, groups for ESOL and reading recovery, and some inspiration. If you get stuck at any point on your Wushka journey, just reach out and let us know. We're here to help. You can email support@wushka.com.au. Thanks for listening.